Every time I would introduce Seyi to my friends, I would say, hey, this is my friend. I even tried to hook him up with a friend of mine, like, believe it or not. Hey people, it's Abisola.
What's going on, people? Seyi here, Oko Abisola.
AKA, that just means Seyi is my husband.
Yep, and we're your co-hosts on Life and Some Jara.
But before you think this is another relationship podcast, we've got so much more in store for you on money, side gigs, and living your best life. You shall get the gist.
Exactly, and all this content comes from you, our listeners, through surveys that you complete.
And trust us to add our own Jara, you know,
Yep.
a little extra here and there.
Of course, so stay tuned.
Hey people, it's Abisola.
Hey guys, it's Seyi here.
And welcome to episode 2 of Life and Some Jara.
Yeah.
Hey.
Alright, so for this episode, we asked the fine brothers and beautiful ladies, you gotta give us the details on how you met that special person, like how you woo that person, right?
Yeah, so as we did with the previous episode, if you haven't listened to it, you want to go back and check that out. We asked men and women questions on how they met. Where did they meet? What kind of places do you go to? How did you initiate conversation, right? Who started? How did you pick it up? How did you carry on the conversation? And we also just asked general advice, like, guys, tell the ladies what they need to know, and the ladies, tell the men what they need to know. And so that's the flow of today's conversation.
Nice. So let's dive into this, right? The first thing, where did guys and ladies meet, right? What was the first thing? Where was the first
Most
place?
popular, by all means, was through friends' events or at friends' events. So think weddings, house parties, get together. My baby is doing 1-year-old party, you know, I don't know, bridal showers, like random things, like birthday parties. Yeah, all of these random events, you know, you invite your friends, other friends come, and yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, that was the first place I saw you, right?
That's true.
It was at a friend's graduation party.
Well, now that I think about it, the very, 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 very first place I saw you was at your sister's graduation party.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That was like what? How many years?
I
That
don't
was
even
2
know.
years before I even saw you.
Yeah, so I saw you there and someone had said, oh, that's her brother. And I was like, okay, good for him. Like, I didn't even think anything of you, but that's where I first saw you. And then when I saw you again at a friend's graduation party, you know, I was like, oh, okay, I've seen him before.
But yeah, we didn't think anything at that time, but we just saw each other.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways. So one lady specifically said that a guy met her at the dance floor at an engagement party. And I mean, I guess she was looking so
she must have been
beautiful.
dancing.
She was moving so good,
Moving
like
those
to the
curves.
left, to the right. Anyways, the guy saw her and straight away the guy walked up to her right on the dance floor. Guys, please don't ever do this, okay? The guy walked up to her on the dance floor and was like, hey, you look amazing, this, that. Can I get your number?
Yeah, so no, who are you?
Of course, she didn't give the guy her number, right? But the guy was persistent. He kept coming back, and one way or the other, they eventually had conversation, and of course, numbers exchanged. So, hey.
I guess to each his own, because that's not my style, but hey, what do I know? So number 2, what was another place that, you know, guys and ladies met each other?
So once again, it goes back to that friend thing, right? A lot of guys and ladies met as a result of friend referrals. For example, you have a friend who knows someone or who knows a great lady, and the friend says, hey, there's this really great person I know. Come check this person out.
And I think they don't even have to say, like, for me, that sounds like a hookup, right? And most people don't really like it, or they're not comfortable with it. I personally have not had great, I've not had great experiences with hookups.
Well,
what I would
you
say
just
is,
didn't know. I'll tell that story in a minute, but go ahead.
what I would say is like referring friends to friends indirectly. So I'm having a birthday party at my house, and I have a great guy friend I have a cousin who's a guy, and I have this other girl, a friend who's a female that I think, oh my goodness, their chemistry, I think they would get their sense of humor, or I think they would get each other. I just invite them to my events and go figure it out from there. I may tell the guy, hey, that's the lady I talked to you about, but she don't need to know that. Like, you know, go talk to her, see if you like the initial conversation, and, you know, if you, what is the word? If you vibe together and you want to kick it off from there. But I just feel like the pressure of saying, I'm referring you to this girl, go talk to her. It's just too much.
Yeah. And when I think about it, right, that it reminds me of how my sister tried to hook me up with you back in those days. And I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not going to talk to my sister's friend's sister. Like, that's just awkward. So I'd even give her an audience. But then later, one way or the other, I saw Bisola at a graduation party, and I was like, wait, okay, is this the person you were talking about? She's not bad at all, you know? Let's do something. Let's organize a social and let's innocently invite her, you know. Just let's make it like, oh, end of the semester social. Let her just come over.
Yeah, and I went for that. I went for the house party, and I was completely unaware that he and his sister had something planned or whatever.
Well,
Like,
we didn't have anything planned. We
Well,
just invited you to
that's
come
what I'm
have
saying.
fun.
So for me, I prefer that kind of more in quote natural meet instead of the pressure. Like imagine if my sister had said, "Hey, you should check out my friend's brother." I would be like, "No, thanks." Like that's just weird, you know.
Yeah, and I think you have some advice for ladies here, right? Just based on interviews and your own personal experiences.
For sure. So what I would say to women, whether or not you're looking for a man, just take a man along to your event. Ooh, okay, let me
So
take
what
that
does
back.
that
That
mean?
don't sound right. That doesn't sound right.
Okay.
So my whole point is if you have a guy friend who
Or
you're not gonna
cousin.
marry, or like your cousin or your brother, like someone who you know, like, man, this guy's head is correct, you know, take him along to an event. That way, if every woman takes another guy along to an event, you guys have a pool of potential good men to pick out of. I mean, to mingle with.
I mean,
if that makes sense.
I get the idea of what you're saying, but
Yeah.
it's like you have a pool of guys to choose from. Like that just sounds
Literally, have you
weird,
noticed
right?
when you go to like a lot of like African or Nigerian events, it's like 90% women, and the
mean,
men are I don't know where they are.
You raise a good point, right? Because I went once for a game night, and there was a lady that was saying, "Hey, where are your friends? Call them, tell them to come." Right?
Right.
It's kind of the same idea. I think the
Yeah.
ratio was like 90% ladies, 10% guys.
Yeah.
And I was feeling like, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a host, and so that was why I was there. But to that point, if I wasn't the host, I may not even have gone.
Yeah, so if all the women are wondering where the men are, if you would have brought a man, there would be a man for another woman in the room. So something to think about.
Yeah, and for guys, once again, that friend referrals or just, walking through friends. The way a lot of guys said this worked, right, was they're at an event and they went with a wingman. And the idea for the wingman was, somebody that kind of got your back at all times. If you're trying to talk to this lady, but then she's with her friends, you don't want to just interrupt. You and your wingman go there. The wingman kind of blocks off the friend and you kind of just shoot your shot, do your thing.
That sounds like a Nollywood movie
that
right
joint
there.
works though, I'll tell you that.
Well, hey, you guys do your thing.
All right, nice. All right, what was the third thing?
Third thing was just friendships that evolved over time into relationships. So you know how, I mean, they call it the friend zoning thing, and then like, actually 2 years later you're like, actually guy, they're bad, or like this guy is not bad, like maybe I could actually date him, or you start to like each other. So yeah, some relationships apparently start that way. It's like you build solid relationships or friendships.
Yeah, one thing that one lady said was like she doesn't really believe in the idea of love at first sight. And I feel like watching movies, many of us kind of see we get that vibe of love at first sight and we immediately discount those in our circle, right? But then you don't have to look too far. There may be people in your circle that you can just be friendly with. And if you guys feel each other, like you may decide to take it one step further.
Yeah. What I would say is like sometimes we're looking far out there for, oh my God, where is Mr. Prince Charming going to come from? And you don't realize in like your inner circle or even maybe just your close circle, there's actually a guy there that's a good fit for you.
So I do have a question for you guys though, right? And please share your thoughts on Twitter and WhatsApp. But for how long can a single guy and a single lady be friends, right? Without any kind of romantic interest? Because I get in theory we're saying your circle, right? But when you think about it, if the guy's in the ladies' circle or if the lady's in the guy's circle, chances are something may have happened, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. I have my own opinions about it, especially because of how you and I started, right? So when Seyi and I first started talking, Seyi was like, he was forming. He was like, no, I'm not even interested. He was like, I'm not interested in a relationship anytime soon. I'm just looking for really good friendships.
Which was true, by
and
the way.
me on the other hand too, I was a loner at the moment. Like I was also looking for like just good quality friendships. And I was like, wow, this guy is just so nice. Like he's such a great friend. He would talk to me about everything. And to me, every time I would introduce Seyi to my friends, I would say, hey, this is my friend. I even tried to hook him up with a friend of mine. Like, believe it or not.
And she was telling me that I have this friend. I mean, you should meet this person. And in my head, I was like, are you kidding? Do
I
you
had
even realize what's happening
completely
right
friend
now?
zoned him. No kidding. But
Like, you
really,
had to take some prayer and fasting and getting a lot of advice from my wingman to like just help me with this this lady sitting right across from me.
but I
But
think it goes back to the point of not looking too far, right? The person that will make you, that may, that you may spend the rest of your life with may just be sitting right next to you.
yeah, the other thing I'll say about just looking within your friend circle is sometimes this requires patience because the guy or the lady may not really be at that stage where they're ready for a relationship. In fact, one guy mentioned that like he will appreciate a great friendship, but he's not at the right emotional health to pursue a relationship.
And
And
I really respected that. I'm like, as much as, yeah, he's like, I need time to heal emotionally. And at the same time, imagine how far a good friendship will go at this stage of his life, right? If he
yeah.
has this really good friend who's just like encouraging him, maybe helping him with his counseling or, just being there listening to him. And when he's ready, when he's healed, who is he going to reach out to say, hey, will you marry me?
I
Think
mean,
about it. It just takes
it's
time
true, right?
enjoying real good friendships and
And when you
relationships.
think about it, that's how like it's over the long term, real genuine feelings develop rather than yeah. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Number 4, what was
Da da
another
da.
popular place?
Social media.
Social media.
Back in the days, this was Facebook. Nowadays, it's
Instagram
Instagram. Who knows what it's
DMs.
going to be in 5 years?
Yeah. So we've clearly all heard the story of Banky W and Adesuwa. It's just so, overtold at this point.
How he slid into our DM?
Literally
What do you?
slid into our DM. I don't even know the details of the conversation, but hey, we all know how they're one of the hottest couple. I don't know.
Yeah,
Shay's
whatever.
rolling his eyes, but
I think they're overrated, but that's just my perspective.
no, they're a
Anyway,
cute couple. I like them.
we're a cute couple too. Yeah, I know.
I mean, can we focus?
Anyway, but yeah, a lot of guys actually, guys and ladies actually, they both share that some of the relationships just started out from social media. For one guy, the lady just sent him a message on Instagram, just complimenting him on a photo that he posted, right? An innocent compliment. And eventually, it led to them talking and they just became friends.
Okay, cool. So the fifth place that people met each other was at social gatherings. So, for example, like church, going to church or meetup groups or
Yeah, and we're not saying that you should go to church specifically to meet people,
Yeah.
but like, of course, you're already in this place. Be friendly, have friends, talk to people there.
I agree. And the church thing, people actually had mixed feelings about it. Some people are like, I'm never going to date someone I meet in church because they're just being fake, yada, yada, yada. I don't get it. But hey, there's that thought. And some other people are like, the first place I think to look is in my church because, my church most likely has people that have the same values as I do. And,
Yeah.
it's a potential. So just being yourself.
Yeah. And for meetup groups, right? These are places where you're going to find people that have the same interests as you. So maybe you join a meetup for hiking. Clearly, other people that are interested in hiking will join that meetup and you guys can hike together. You do an activity, you have fun, you get to know the person, and who knows where it turns out. It may just be a friendship, and that's perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, I agree. So
what are some potential places that are not really being explored to their full potential, right? That people go to, but nothing has really started there.
I'll answer that question, but I'll tell you how we got the answers to this question. We asked people, what are the top 3 places that you go to outside of work, right?
Yeah, without any context, just where do you go?
Yeah, where do you go? Where do you find yourself? So by far, for the guys, one of the top responses was the gym, right? So they go to work out and
Yeah, in fact, one guy mentioned that while he's working out, he's a black guy, so he said it's only white ladies he ever sees at a gym. He never sees a sister, and is like, I would like to talk to somebody at the gym. I'm not really trying to date, but just have a conversation with the person, right?
did he share the location of his gym? Let me send all the sisters.
Don't worry, keep quiet about that. But and the idea is not for you to go to the gym to meet a guy. That's not what they're
Yeah.
saying, right? It's like, do things that you enjoy and
And in the process, be ready to have conversations and be ready to,
exactly.
in
Another
the
guy
venue.
was talking about like he plays soccer, he coaches soccer, and he met a lady because she was interested in soccer and they dated for like several years. It was a really great relationship.
I think that's awesome. So yeah, the main thing is just do you and continue living your life and just be ready to have good conversations whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Right. Other places were libraries, parks, just walking around the community you live in, right? And really, one key insight we got from a lot of people was that if you live in the city, you have greater chances of meeting people because, a city is jam packed versus if you live in a suburb, like you got to be purposeful about where you go. You got to drive everywhere, and just those chances are a little less. So I'm not saying you should move, but for
I
your
think
relationship
no,
help.
I so agree with the exploring the city thing. So recently, Shay and I had a meeting like downtown. Was it Silver Spring?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Silver Spring.
we literally went to a library downtown Silver Spring, and gosh, we saw like my eyes were just rolling. Listen, I don't live in the city, so for me, being there was just like a major culture shock. Like just seeing people, there's so many people. You're crossing the roads, it's like people, like people just hanging out. And we went into the library, there are people just like sitting and looking out the
Like
window.
the entire library was
It
full.
was packed with
Yeah,
people.
like we live in the suburbs, right? And whenever we go to the library, it's
It's
semi-empty,
dead
right?
and quiet.
I mean, if I'm a guy and I'm at the library and I'm thinking maybe I might see someone I just have a conversation with, chances are if you're doing that in the burbs, no deal, man.
Yeah. But I really, I thoroughly enjoyed myself that day. Just seeing people, like someone just reading novels, like, looking out with great views. And I
It was
mean,
nice.
yeah, if you sit right next to a cute guy there, chances are he will be like, so what are you reading? And you're like, what are you reading? And who
Yeah.
knows where it would lead from there.
That's a great starting line, by the way, guys. Anyways, one place that people mentioned was colleges, right?
College.
Now,
Yeah.
this is probably a lot of people have passed the stage in their lives, but this is a great place to meet people when you're at that point in your life because there's really no other time in your life you're going to be surrounded with a lot of people and you get a chance to evaluate them, see what they're doing on a daily basis, be friends, hang out, go. Like, you don't get that once you start working.
Literally, I would say this by far is my favorite advice is, while you're young, if you're still young listening to this, just build quality relationships. And a lot of this, if you're in college, obviously that's like where you're living and breathing. You're in school. Just make friends, period. Like it doesn't matter if you're trying to date him. It doesn't, like, just make friends, build quality relationship, have good conversations, get to know them, be useful to other people.
Yeah.
And from there, who knows, 5 years down the line, what that relationship is going to evolve into.
And I mean, if you're a person like me, that quality relationship, I may come back and be like, hey, so I'm looking for a co-founder for this business. Come join me. Like, let's totally make $1 billion or something. But
P.S. guys, ignore Shaishu for that one.
whatever, okay.
So yeah, and I mean, I keep going back to our story, right? So we met when we were still in college, the summer of our
Third year, fourth
third year. So we were
Yeah.
right about to become seniors in college. And I think just like, at that point in time, meeting Shay and him meeting me, we're basic. All we are is we're students. I'm not asking you what's your career. I'm not asking you, like, we're just forming good friendships that evolved into a relationship. But imagine me meeting Shay now, I
The
mean,
conversation will be different.
it would
The
be so
questions
different.
will be
And
different.
then I'm struggling with like 22-year-old girls also who are trying to
I mean, maybe
like
not. So
it's the unfair
I guess
advantage
the
points
guys
too, which
have
is,
more options as they're
yeah,
older. They can go for someone that is older, someone the same age, or someone that is younger. And
especially
so,
then when you have like a good career going on for you, like when you're well to do, it's just like she is not looking at my side at that point in time.
I mean,
you
well,
know
if it's the Shea I know, as long as you have a great job, that bank account, as I mentioned, has $1 million,
so
like,
no.
whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is while in quotes they are nothing, before they become a medical doctor, while they're still studying for the MCATs, you want to start making those conversations and forming those friendships that who knows what it would evolve in the long run.
Yeah, the last place some people mentioned, and we got kind of mixed feedback on this, but it was clubs, bars, and lounges, right? A couple of guys mentioned that yeah, they'll go to clubs and bars, but they don't really expect to establish quality relationships there. Others said that yeah, they've met people there. I don't know. It's a give or take. You guys decide what works for you.
Yeah, decide what works for you. Can I throw in here an advice that quite a bit of guys mentioned was like don't look down on a guy or discount a guy just because he's not at your level. So, you're a dentist professional and guy is still trying to get into residency, or maybe he's like writing his dissertation, something, I don't know. Who knows what the future is going to bring. So just opening up your options and not saying, oh, he has to be, like a well-established career person, but looking more for potential in the man.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to the next theme, right? So how of guys and ladies, how do they actually express interest in each other? How do they actually walk up to each other and, do their thing?
So in general, the insight that we got was that it really doesn't matter who expresses interest first. If both the guys and the ladies connect, then the friendship would take off.
Yeah, so the first way guys and ladies have expressed interest, right, is just by being direct. Like, don't beat around the bush. So one guy gave an example that he walked up to a lady in his apartment complex and just reached out that, hey, I've seen you around in my apartment complex for a while. Like, I'd really like to get to know you. Can I take you out to coffee or ice cream? FYI, guys, if it's a health conscious person, don't say ice cream. Maybe like herbal tea or something like that. But you guys get the idea.
You've got jokes, man. No, I like that. I think that's cute. Like if I was a single lady, I would appreciate a guy talking to me like that. Second way that guys and ladies have expressed interest is through social media. So I'm gonna give you social media sliding into DM 101.
Nice. Let's hear.
Okay, so I'm gonna give a shout out first to at Aqua Larby. She's the one who I saw this on her Instagram page. So way number one to slide into DM is to send the comments to the person's recent posts, right? So they post a cute picture and you're like, hey, you look nice, whatever.
So something thoughtful about the post, right? Just acknowledge it. Okay.
Exactly. And from there, hopefully will lead into conversations. Second thing is, just a general, hi, my name is so and so, and I am messaging because, and insert
that
something.
Sounds too serious though. Like, hi, my name is Shay. I'm reaching out because I think you look nice and I'd like to take you out for coffee.
No, you insert something thoughtful, right? Like you have to. This is not something you just type in 2 seconds. You have to think about your message. And
so a place like Tinder where you swipe left, swipe right, you'd make that decision in 2 seconds. What's your point about that?
Well, Tinder is a whole different ballgame, and I never really experienced that. But whatever it is, I think just being thoughtful goes a long way to the lady responding back to you. Otherwise, you're just like any other guy who's sending a message. I mean, think about when you send a message to a recruiter. It's like you can send a message and just say, here's my resume, or you can attach a cover letter.
I do remember my first message to you on Facebook. So before that, I had done research on Abisola's post, right? I saw like, okay, Abisola was this on mountain on. I mean, she was this
mountain
fire
on
person.
The fire.
She was
you
like
did
always
not just
praying,
call me mountain
fasting,
on the
this
fire.
and that. I'm just kidding. But you could tell that she took her faith seriously, right? And I was like, okay, great. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, this, that.
Let me tell you guys what Shay did. We were having a good conversation and he was like, actually, can we continue this later? I need to do my devotion right now. And
well, I really did need to do my devotion though.
It was not until years into our marriage he told me what devotion. I
No,
mean, he
I
did do the devotion, but he said that intentionally. Like I was just like so impressed that he would stop talking to a girl he's interested in to go do his devotion.
Because you told me that you weren't looking, that was just a friend, right?
Whatever.
Anyways.
So yeah, just giving an intentional message to the person. And the third thing you can do when you slide into DMs is say something funny, right? Everyone appreciates a good sense of humor.
True. So guys, ladies, we want to hear from you, right? How have you slid into people's DMs, or how do people slide into your DMs? Once again, Twitter, WhatsApp, hit us there at Life and Jara and the website lifeandjara.com.
Yep. Okay. So this one is for the ladies, right? And I think it's a big elephant in the room is, can we talk to the men? Like, can we shoot our shots? Can we be the first ones to approach the guys? And honestly, I think the answer is yes, but it's the how you do it.
So it's funny, both ladies and guys said it's actually fine for ladies to make the first move, right? So sometimes guys can just be very slow, or they may be just too shy to make that first move.
Yeah,
so
guys apparently really do appreciate when women, especially women that they like, like if you're a random woman that they don't like, obviously you're going to get to know, which is fine, and you move on to the next guy. But they do appreciate when women make that effort.
Actually, I'll give you an example. So a lady was at a social and she saw a guy that she had been eyeing. Both of them actually had been eyeing each other for the entire night. But the guy was slow. He just didn't move. Like, come on, dude. So what the lady ended up doing was she innocently made her way across the room, started talking to everybody, just have a 3-minute conversation with this person, laugh, smile, move on. went to the other person. Eventually, she found her way to the guy. I don't know how she did it, but hey, she found her way to the guy. She made friendly, innocent conversation. Of course, the dude took the bait, and from there, they really just started, they connected, and the rest was history, as they say.
Cool. So a few other people mentioned the how in terms of making like a passive approach.
Okay.
So for example, one guy was like, I mean, like she was just always there, like not always there, but like they were good friends, and like every now and then she'd be like, oh, I just cooked, I don't know, or her soup, and she'd bring him a bowl, or I just made fried rice, and she'd bring him a bowl,
Hey,
and at some point he's like, whoa, this girl is actually kind of nice, and her food
the
is
food
good.
tastes good. She's kind of beautiful,
before you knew it, he started to, and the funny thing for that specific scenario was like initially he didn't really look at her that way. Like the physical appearance wasn't what he was, his spec was, but she started to grow on him, and he really did like her.
As you start spending more time with a person, that person looks really beautiful to you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've always been amazing, but when I look at you right now, I'm like, wow, this is the most beautiful woman in the world.
I blush.
Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you should go and be cooking for everybody, but I'm just saying like there's a passive way. If you're not the kind of lady that would just walk up to a guy, there's also a way that you can passively express your interest.
Yeah. In general, this is advice we got from both guys and ladies, right? Be friendly to everyone. Just smile, be open, just take the initiative to talk to people. No strings attached.
Yeah.
And then later, once you guys have made that connection, you can attach that string yourself.
Yeah, but just taking that initiative, I think, is a big deal. And a lot of us women, I think we hold back a little bit too much.
All right. So what are some guidelines that, guys and ladies had for just making that conversation, making that vibing work so well?
So one of the things was just reading and understanding the environment and the context of where you are before you make that approach, right? So you can even use that to inspire ideas on how to strike a conversation.
Yeah, so for like that guy that we said walked up to a lady that was dancing at an engagement party. I mean, rather than being like, hey, I want your number, you could have been like, wow, how did you learn how to dance shaku shaku like this or something like that,
or
right?
talk about the song or something.
Yeah. Okay, another way is, as you guys are starting to talk or having conversations, just keep an open ear for areas of mutual interest or commonalities that you guys share, and just pick up on that, right? For example, one lady said that she didn't really think about the guy at all in that way, right? But the way they started having the conversation, she actually chose to ask him for his number. And the reason was because the guy apparently was an accountant and he had just recently taken his ICANN exam, and that was something she was studying for. And so she was like, hey, do you mind I get your number, and I'd like to learn more a little from you about how you studied for the ICANN exam.
Yeah. And in general, and by we, I mean us ladies, we should be responsive to guys' advances. So, like, let's just drop the form in, let's be open and just have good conversations.
Yeah, well, one advice to guys that ladies gave, right? It's 2019. Be charming. I mean, I understand that.
What does that have to do with being 2019?
Okay, let me rephrase that. Be charming, right? I know it's still 2019. Right now, everything is social media, but you can still be charming
right,
while you're using technology, right? Be nice to everyone. Smile. Give genuine compliments, right? Especially for something that is not easily noticed. Give a compliment on something that she put thought into, right?
So I think we're saying the same thing in many different ways. Is approaching a woman or approaching a man is work, right? You don't just randomly just be like, she's fine, let me go talk to her. Like be intentional, have a plan for what you're gonna say. It's just kind of like you're prepared to go for an interview. You have a plan, you're ready to answer questions, and you're intentional about the things that you say. And for the same applies to relationships as well. If you come like every other guy is coming, or you come like every other woman is coming, what makes you stand out? Nothing.
Yeah, so these are a lot of ways that people have, expressed their interest and started the conversation.
Okay, so what about the don'ts, right? What do women or men say? Don't do that. You can do anything, but don't do that.
Well, number one, pickup lines. So give you a very crappy pickup line. I don't know. An angel fell from heaven. I think we used that last one, right? Whatever. Please, pickup lines are like so tacky.
Just drop it.
The only time you can use a pickup line is if you're like really good at it. But chances are 99.99% of us are not. So please just drop it.
Yeah. Also, don't say something stupid. Don't say things that are, inappropriate, or don't be disrespectful. Don't, don't use swear words. Like one lady was like, the first sentence literally had an F word in it. Inappropriate much.
Yeah. And even to that disrespectful part, right? And it's fine. A lady may say, no, I'm not interested. Don't pester her. Don't keep asking
Yeah,
for,
it's annoying.
yeah, don't keep asking for her number.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that on the being respectful, like don't be disrespectful, and just actually listening to what the other person is saying. So I'll give you an example. One of the ladies that I talked to, she said that she had met a guy online and they were chatting on whatever app they were using, and the guy asked for her number. Like they had barely even had much conversation, and she said, "Oh, I just prefer to chat on this platform because I don't like to share my personal information to people I don't know." And I would respect that. I think
reasonable.
that's a reasonable request. And guy was like, okay. And then next day they're chatting and he's complaining about how she's slow to respond. And he's like, well, this is why I asked for your phone number. If I had your phone number,
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
there's
just like,
so many ways you could have done that better. But
exactly.
anyways.
Like and she's like, okay, I would prefer not to give you my phone number. I respond when I respond. And it kept coming on over and over again. And to her, the message she was getting is he's not being respectful of my decisions. He's not actually listening to what I'm saying. And so that was a no for her.
So a couple of these were do at your own risk. Like, when you're buying something, they say buyer beware. So several ladies from our interviews, right? Several ladies mentioned that they said, I like you directly to a guy, even before the signs were there, right? And it so turned out, of course, the guy was like, yeah, no, this is not flying, right? Another one was like, hey, let's go out to coffee before the guy had expressed interest. And the guy was like, no. So do at your own risk. It probably works for some people, but just the data we collected shows that it hasn't worked for those we interviewed.
Yeah. So another thing, obviously, was the online dating. I know it's worked for some. It's really a hit or miss, right? Like, and I feel like you invest so much time because there's just a lot of junk people. No, people are not junk, but if you know what I mean. It's like there's just a lot of like random people on these dating sites, and you really have to sift through and invest so much time to finding someone who's good. They're out there. It's a potential. Some guys mention that they don't really go for the go to the online dating for something serious. Like it's just kind of like if I want to hang around, if you know what I mean.
You know what that means, right?
So, we're not discouraging it. It's an option. Like I would just say how did they say? Cast your stones, or what did they say? Cast your seeds out.
So I thought you'd be reading the Bible every day. It's
cast your seeds out, yes. Whatever. And then you don't know which one is going to reap a harvest or something like that.
Yeah, but I think some other guys mentioned that they've actually used online dating, right? Mm-hmm. They haven't had much success so far, but they mentioned that they're open to the idea of online dating.
Yeah. So now back to the big question is, why are men not committing, or why are women not finding these men that are of good quality, And now this is just Seyi and I talking from our perspective. I think one thing that came up is the finance factor for men versus women, right? So sometimes it's not even about you. It's about the men trying to get their foot stable before they approach a woman. It's different. For men, the finances have to be somewhat put together.
I think there's an expectation for a lot of guys and also in society that a man should be stable before he's thinking about marriage. Now, let's even take that a step back. A man should be stable before he's trying to approach a girl, because every girl wants to be treated nice, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want a person that is struggling and can't take me out on a nice date. Like I want someone that can woo me. And so that is
it's just about the men being financially stable before they make that leap, so cut them some slack. That may be why you're not finding them,
or be friends with them before
exactly
they make it. Because imagine if I was like
hammer.
If I was friends with someone like Mark Zuckerberg before he hammered, man. You mean myself up for don't hammer.
Yeah, I mean his wife was friends with him before, way back when.
I guess when you think about it, Jeff Bezos, well, forget that guy.
Let's not use that as an example.
All right. The second one was...
So another thing I would say, which we already said before, is don't undermine the days of the early beginnings, right? So, again, before he's there, like don't
Everybody
look down on
times.
him, because a lot of us ladies will be just will be like, can you imagine that man that he doesn't even have a car coming to talk to me? He's on his way somewhere, and just recognize that early before someone else recognizes it.
Yeah, I mean, if he's fine,
again, if you add on those conditions, you're back to the question of where the good men. The good men are still work in progress. Catch them while they're work in progress.
True, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this concludes our discussion on where are the fine brothers and beautiful ladies. So, I mean,
Yeah, so I hope you all got at least one or two tips out of this, or at least some insights out of this. And again, we want to say a big thank you to all the men and the women who participated in our interviews and surveys. Thank you.
thank you very much.